Gentlemen, it is 9 o'clock. I call this Sawyer County Public Safety Committee meeting to order. Can we have roll call, madam?
Ron Buckles.
Present.
Ed Peters.
Present.
Jason Weaver. Mark Helwig.
Here.
Marshall Savitsky.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Yep, thank you. Pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, certification compliance with open meetings law, Madam Clerk.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, the meeting agenda has been presented. I'm okay with the way it is. Any questions on it?
Make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries. All right, public comment. At this time, members of the public will be given an opportunity to address the committee. And you got like 3 minutes. So we have one. Ms. Zilmer, state your name and address, please.
Linda Zilmer, 902 Holly Hill Lane, Birchwood, and Edgewater, property owner on County Highway F. First of all, I'd like to address an item that has not been appearing on this committee's agenda, and I think it should. This month and last month, I have sent emails to members of this committee and other committees regarding looking at the Washburn County and now the Chippewa County ordinances and policies for consideration of opening ATV and UTV road routes. I think law enforcement does have to play a role in looking at that ordinance, as well as emergency services. And this is the second year that Washburn County has implemented the process, and I would encourage you to follow that. It's worked, I think, fairly well. People know what the criteria are, and it's enforceable. The second item I wanted to address is all under item number 13. I think the type of reports from the ambulance service that should be looked at on a monthly basis is the number of runs, the runs by town for the month and year to date. And I know the request that I'm making might require some training in how to use software or to get information from your billing service. As far as the billing service, they also provide reports to the county, and those are probably more meaningful than the ones that the county generated that you see in your packet for just a partial year. You did get a year-to-date summary from them at an earlier meeting this month. And then also, I think what's important, if Sawyer County is claiming that it has a full-time ambulance service, that you get a report on how your stations are staffed for the month and year-to-date. Because as I understand it, maybe that would help clarify whether your stations are staffed or not. And those response times will also indicate whether or not people are getting services on a timely basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Is there anyone else? Anyone online?
I don't see any hands up.
Okay. All right, we'll go to number 7. Consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Okay. We have a motion by Mr. Peters. A second by Mr. Savitsky. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right. Number 8. Judge's report.
Mr. Chairman, we are in the process of moving the chambers of branch 1 from the old area to the new area this week. There's been something we were hoping to go live on April 10th, I believe. There was a delay a little bit and with the AV people, I believe, but we still had to get our stuff moved over there. So we're in the process of doing that. The only other, for I guess purposes of this agenda or this committee meeting, we do have, and what's complicated the issue, we have a week-long sexual assault of a child trial set to begin on April 17th. And that's going to be, so it's set for the whole week. It's still scheduled to go as the last time I heard. So just be aware that during that week, there's going to be a lot of activity around, especially that Monday morning. There's going to be a lot of jurors I think we're trying to call at least 80 jurors. It's sexual assault, those types of cases are difficult in picking a jury. And so we'll have to coordinate, and we have been coordinating with the court security as far as movement of the defendant who is in custody. So that will just, there might be a little bit of disruption here and there, a little bit along the way. Once we get the trial going, it should be minimal. We're hoping to do that in the new courtroom. It just wasn't going to be possible with the AV people. And then it's my understanding that while we're doing that trial that week, they'll be working in the new courtroom. And then right now we're set, I think, to go live 24th of April. The only concern that I have is, and maybe it's not really an issue, it's not an issue, but it's if that trial goes to full 5 days, we'll have to schedule sometime after that trial is over with to get the computers up and running in the new courtroom, because computers in the current courtroom have to be transferred to the new courtroom, and if we go live on Monday morning, it might be tight in time. I'm hoping that the trial won't last the full 5 days. And then also, Monica Isham was elected Circuit Court Judge for Branch 2 this week. And I've already had the opportunity to reach out to her, and I know that the 10th District will be reaching out to her and getting her, I guess, all lined up and what things that she needs to do, and there'll be a good learning curve. But certainly, we've already been discussing. There's the possibility of appointing her as a court commissioner, and that's kind of up to her. I've offered it to her, and I think if it's going to happen, it's likely to happen in May, and that's just to give her some additional input, getting, I guess, her feet wet with some a judicial role of some type, and doing a few things, and then also being present for further court drug court trainings and things like that, rather than just waiting till August. I believe that she may have some time to be able to start doing that stuff, and that's just, I from what she's basically stated to me, anything that I have that will help her, I'll certainly offer it to her, and looking forward to it. So
When does she come on board? I mean,
her actual first day, according to the state, the term is August 1st.
Oh.
So it won't be until August
Wow.
that she's actually sworn in. And then I know that the 10th District will have her out and around the district with other judges in other counties, kind of like in a training process for at least 2 weeks. So you probably won't see her in Sawyer County on the bench as Circuit Court Branch 2 until at least mid-August.
With Monica being the second judge and being a tribal person, I think that's going to be good for the Sawyer County system. I really do.
Good. When she's appeared in court as a GAL, when she used to work at the firm up in Ashland, we were all impressed with her. So I've got a lot of hope that and expectations, as does she, that I'm sure that she is, I know that she is she's communicated to me that she's excited and ready for the challenge.
Good. Anything else, Judge?
Nope.
You guys have any questions for Judge? All right.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, appreciate it. I seen you when you come through the door out there this morning. I didn't recognize you at first because you didn't have your robe on.
And I went back to my office with Anna down there. I said, "Is today public safety?" And she said, "Yeah." And so I'm in the process of moving, so I might bail out here, but I wanted to appear since I did have it.
We appreciate that. Thank you, Judge.
And as I said to you before, obviously with we're working on getting up the two calendars system, and that's added a whole bunch of work on top of the work that we already have right now. And that's just me and Anna basically doing that. And then all of a sudden we're also in with Justice Point and the creation of the drug court. So that's just, it's really layer upon layer. But I just want to say how great of a job Anna is doing and answering every call above and beyond. And then was something else I wanted to say, but I guess. Well, it'll come to me.
He'll come to you after you leave.
Yeah, I know it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, okay, number B, courthouse remodel update.
Yeah, I think the judge gave major highlights that, yeah, there was a delay with the AV contractor. They were here to finish work and the courtroom wasn't ready. A little bit of a disagreement probably between the project manager and the AV people, but regardless, the AV people could not reschedule their subcontractor and their programmer, which are the kind of the key pieces, until the week of the 17th to get that part finished. And like the judge said, there was a trial that has to go ahead, so that's why we've delayed the move of the courtroom until that trial is over and the AV is all completed. But the anticipated turnover date is the 24th. We've got a firm schedule from the AV contractor to get the work done the week of the 17th. We did work with the project manager for other alternatives, even finding somebody to come in on nights and weekends to get it done on time, but that just didn't work out. Other than that, like the judge said, they're moving over to their offices. The sheriff's department's getting into their offices and new spaces on their end of the building. The punch list, I mean, the majority of the work or all the major work is done. Right now, it's a lot of punch list stuff that they're going back and touching up paint or fixing things. We did do a walkthrough last week with the district court administrator and the judge and found some just some things that are inconveniences. I mean, like the way the door swings in one area, locks that we have to look at now that just don't make any sense. I mean, the building is still usable. There's probably some things we still need to address and get fixed here at some point. Yesterday we sat down with the group and kind of went through how security is going to work as far as badge access, who can go where and who's in charge of that. I think we've got a good plan for that as well. The other thing with the courtroom being delayed, the move to the new courtroom being delayed a couple of weeks, is it puts us behind schedule now on remodeling the existing space, because that can't happen now until the 24th. That can't start until then, and so we're probably a couple weeks behind schedule already on that. So just the outside area, probably won't get that turned over until midsummer. This is the current timeline. That won't get turned over until concrete work is finished, blacktop, and it's safe to use that. It's all still torn up out there. So they're hoping by that middle of summer, they'll have the contractors available to finish that work.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, now we'll move on to number 9. Clerk of Court office reports. Marge is not here today, so but she did give us a report. Did you guys look at it? Any questions with it? Okay. Looks good to me.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, all right, number 10. Sheriff's Department report. Sheriff, you're up.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Just adding to what the judge and Andy mentioned there as far as the transition here with the new facility. We have 4 new officers. Most part were moved in. The court officer and other office were Nicole is transitioning from court security to EM and dispatch director. She's still playing all 3 roles due to some staffing issues here till we get that taken care of. We have them hired, but they're not able to start yet. So she's helping with the court. So she's going to be in the new detective's office here until that transition is complete. As far as escorting inmates, until we're in the new courtroom, it will be the same as we escort outside into the old courtroom. So until we're in the new courtroom here in the next couple of weeks, that won't change. Then after that, the escorts will be all internal inside the building. So that's going to be a great advantage for all of us safety wise.
Yes.
So with that, I'll yield to the chief here.
Okay, chief.
Thank you. The communication center is still facing staffing shortages. We're 4 full-time members down, which is basically half our dispatch staff. We've had a lot of part-time staff picking up leadership, which is greatly helping out. We do have 1 new trainee that will be finishing training within the next few weeks, so hopefully we can get him into that full-time position. We also completed background checks on 3 individuals and we'll be holding interviews next week for those positions. The joint powers agreements have been sent out. The majority of them been returned, just waiting for a few. Nicole has been looking into a new 911 system that's DesiNet, next gen 911 capabilities. Basically, that would be moving our 911 system from a local phone company to an internet-based. Being that most of the 911 calls come in through cell phones now and everything like that, we're trying to keep up with time. So next week is National Public Telecommunicators Week, so if you see a dispatcher, give them a big hug because they're the lifeline of our departments. So, calls for service for March, we've had 1,207 compared to 2022, or excuse me, 1,457 of last year. And so far for the year, we've had 3,818 calls for service.
The registration when you're ready, out of Minnesota.
Okay, any questions for the chief? Nope. Okay, Lieutenant Rapinski's gone.
I'll do the patrol. report.
Okay, all right.
The month of March, we had 17 car crashes, 5 with personal injury. No fatalities in March. The one fatality we had was in February there. We did have 812 calls for service and contacts with the public. Also, we did hire a full-time road deputy, Jeremy Anderson. He worked full-time just over 5 years for the city of Cameron. So he started with us Monday and is in the training process and will be going to the road here as soon as he's completed his field training. So
Okay, and I see you got 3 new squads.
should be 4 new squads here.
Yeah, it says you received 3 of the 4.
Yeah, I believe one was received earlier
Oh,
there and
okay,
already
okay,
in service.
Okay. I was just reading that in your shirt for this one. Okay.
We did also hire 2 part-time. One was currently in the jail. He's going through his, he completed his, will graduate from the police science program in Rice Lake and is going to the academy in Chippewa Valley Tech and will graduate this fall. And another hire actually is Lieutenant Walker's daughter.
Cool.
And she completed this police science program and will go to the academy in Rice Lake the end of summer and graduate this fall. And she's in the training process with us in between as well. So it's going to be nice to have 2 part-timers, potentially soon, maybe 2 full-timers if there's some vacancies and there probably will be here. So
Yeah, my grandson, my middle grandson, he's a junior in high school. He wants to get into law enforcement. So he's looking big time into that. So happy for him.
we encourage him to pursue it and apply with us.
I've been pushing that for him, so.
Start dispatch.
Okay, patrol report. That's pretty much what the sheriff give. Okay, number C, jail report, Lieutenant.
Thank you. The month of March, we averaged 70 inmates, 14 and a half females to 55 and a half males on average. Our average probation incarceration was 11. Our average pre-sentence incarceration was 46 and a half. Average sentence inmates, we sit around 12 and a half. We currently, at the time of the report, had 1 on electronic monitoring, and there was 15 housed in Barron County, all females. We had 13 individuals that were employed at the time of arrest, 61 unemployed at the time of arrest, which comes out to an 82.4% unemployment rate for those newly arrested individuals.
Okay. Any questions for Lieutenant?
How's the staffing levels there? You guys up to par?
No, we currently have 2 females coming through the shadowing process as we speak. We do have some that are out on a paternity leave who we are expecting back. One, I believe, in a couple weeks, and another by the 1st of June, I was informed, so it's looking up, so.
Good.
Chief, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
You know, about dispatchers, you say like, you know, give them a hug. We never see them. So we don't know who they are. You know, I'd love to go, you know, shake their hand and say, hey, doing a great job, but you never see them, so don't know who they are.
You know where they live.
Sure.
Have we looked into anything that would make these jobs more appeasing to these people in the jail or dispatch? I mean, I know it's been brought up before, but have we actually pursued anything? To
I
get
don't know,
the staffing
Andy?
levels up to 50% dispatch, you know, to.
I mean, both those have had wage adjustments in the last year.
Mhm. So is it comparable to other counties? It is,
But what else can you do?
yeah.
Well, and we've talked in like, not even about wages. We've had some discussion on how to change the. Honestly, change the job, but, you know, shift some responsibilities or. I'm just trying to phrase that. but-
We did go to 12-hour shifts in dispatch, and that's pretty well received. I think that's going to be more attractive because before we owned it, the schedule we had before, there was only 1 dispatcher that worked actually days. Now we're gonna have 4 dispatchers that work days. So that's huge with a lot of staff, is what shift they work and when they work. I mean, it's 12-hour shifts, 4 days on, 4 days off. So that's a little more appealing. So they only have to work half the weekends as well throughout the year by schedule. So we're hoping that becomes more attractive there.
Good. I got that municipality book recently, and I thought I saw something where downstate they're allowing jailers, and I don't know if dispatchers too, to the possibility to enter back into the union. Is that?
No, I'll give you an update on that.
Okay.
So I don't know if it may be something different, but I think sometime this morning, actually, the governor's gonna sign a bill, it was AB 28, Senate Bill 28, that allows jailers to become protected, go back into the protected class for retirement. The bill doesn't, the effective date is 1/1/24. So what that allows, though, it's I don't know how much effect it will have, but basically, I don't remember the date, but at some point, jailers were not considered protected class for the union. And they were not represented by the union, and then they don't get the state retirement act protected class. This allows a jailer that's hired new to choose whether or not they want to become protected class, but they have to pay the county portion of the higher retirement rate. And then I think it's jailers hired after a certain date that are already in employment also get that choice. You get one time to choose whether or not to do it, but it does put all the financial responsibility on the employee to pay the higher retirement rate.
Did you say the current employees will have the opportunity?
Current employees that are not already, yes, will have the choice. Yep.
The added advantage to that is obviously that their retirement will be more, as well as they'll be able to retire at a younger age under the protective status.
Counties Association there's a number of agencies that were supporting that legislation. The counties did, but it was, you know, it wasn't that they are not eligible for union representation. Or, I mean, I guess just not, and they don't we don't pay their protected class. That's why I'm wondering how much of an effect it will be, because generally the newer employees we get are not real concerned about the retirement. Especially the younger ones are more about what's their paycheck look like today.
Right.
There's still some, with all legislation, that's kind of the outline I gave you, but there's still some questions in there as to how it would work. Like, we believe it says there that we can't increase employees' pay to allow them to pay the higher percentage of retirement. So there are some restrictions in the legislation as well.
Interesting.
That'll still be a good thing. for them.
Yeah, it's a good option for those employees to have when they don't have now.
Is that Gavin took Amy Barkel's spot? Is she in the jail division? Is she in protected status? Because
No,
I think Amy was.
No, What, at reception? She's not. No. There might have been some grandfathering with her because she come from the jail.
She's moved down to probation, hasn't she?
She has.
Is there someone in her place on it?
Yeah, Jane Pearson. She started in December.
Oh, stop and say, well.
Yes, doing a very good job.
There's no more questions. We'll move on to number D. Communication systems report. Is Mr. Crook on there?
Nobody is volunteering.
Mr. Chairman, if I can add to, we
Sure.
had a meeting yesterday as well. We have, I met with the Washburn County Sheriff, Dennis Stewart, and we're working together with Tucker McCumber. He is the one that did their simulcast system in Washburn County. And Tucker met with us, John and Tucker, and we had a conference meeting yesterday. And we are transitioning totally to Law D. It is general consensus with both John and Tucker and others that it's best to do away with the patch. We have the Law 1 and Law D patched together. So we are eliminating the patch, going to Law D, and we're going to focus heavily on any issues, get them fixed, and move forward with that. So hopefully next month we have an updated report on further success here.
Okay, good. Thank you,
Did
Sheriff.
Dennis bring
Go ahead.
up, the SWAT team and their radio procedures and how they go to Mark II or whatever it is, and it's not working compatible with Burnett County and Washburn County, considering we have a joint SWAT team? Was that brought up?
He did not bring that up, but there is a difference because with three sheriff's departments there, we do not have a universal channel. All three of us share just for SWAT. So it's more of a person-to-person process being on
Right,
the marks.
That's a very good question. Is that going to happen? Is there going to be will there be a channel that all the SWAT teams will be able to?
That is a possible option. I'll be honest with you, I don't know exactly, how many frequencies are available and the application process. But that's something I'll pursue with Dennis as well. Thanks, Michael. And
also, what's our current coverage for as, radio and stuff out there? 70%, 80%?
yeah, I don't know. Our road deputies are wanting, really pushing the Law D over Law 1 because now as they're using it more, the coverage is better. The coverage mobile wise is decent. The problem is on the portable.
Well, Sharon.
Oh, sure.
And the problem is we need that portable coverage because that's when they're out on a car and if a traffic stop goes bad, they're on portable, they need to communicate, or if they're on a call in a house, they're on portable, they're not in the squad. So that's why portable coverage is important.
Very important. right?
Yes.
Refresh my memory. Did you say something one time about having some sort of a transmitter in the vehicle to push out?
We have that. The problem with that is it works good with one squad, but as soon as other squads come to help, then there's a problem on
Interference?
working in conjunction with the other squads on a priority basis, and that causes some deficiencies. So we're working through that as well. So,
Sounds like you guys are doing a really good job of working it.
well, I don't want something to happen to our staff
Oh, yeah.
or any law enforcement, so.
Exactly.
We take it seriously and we're very concerned. I can tell you it, in 5.5 years, I learned that radio system is much more complex as I ever thought. And we've asked a lot of law enforcement, including Marshall, to come and help us, but everybody declines.
Marshall.
Okay. Any more questions? All right, number E, code enforcement specialist. Brandon's not here, but he give us a report. Have you guys read it? If you read it, I'm not gonna read it.
Went to his, was it the vaccination clinic?
It went well.
2 weekends ago, and
Yeah.
he had people out the door, was lined
Yeah.
up.
It was about 177 licenses sold.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and then the vaccines, it went well.
Yeah, 170 dogs and cats received vaccinations. Almost 50 microchips were administered. 140 dog licenses were sold. That's a pretty good turnout. So, good. All right. Number 11, emergency management. Nicole's not here. Who wants to handle that? Nobody? Okay. Did you guys read all that? Committee? All right. You got any questions with anything on here? No. Okay.
Any predictions on how fast the snow is gonna melt?
He's gonna melt big time next week.
See that they're out putting up high water signs.
Yeah.
For the
I got some already up in my township.
Yeah, that's the only, I'm sure, concern for, everyone is how fast it goes.
She's been conferring with us quite a bit and.
Okay.
And she's as concerned as anybody
Yeah.
about high water. But that lady has a lot on her plate, but boy, she's done exceptionally well, mastering all of her responsibilities and moving things forward. And we'll be there to work with and for her there. But I think, I don't know, from what I see, even the snow levels in my yard, they're down 60-70% with the last heat they had. And the water's going in the ground. There's no frost.
Yeah.
So I think, it's gonna get pretty warm next week, so. Hopefully it goes well, but keep in mind, I'm an optimist.
I heard though there's over 2 feet of ice out there yet.
On the lakes,
Yes.
That's,
I don't know.
well, the thing is, it's with the snow. It's still on there, they can't get to the ice to.
Sun can't get to it.
Yeah. I don't know. That's just what I was told yesterday.
I read that somewhere. About the snow.
Nice.
Oh, I don't know.
It'd probably be ice fishing and nobody there.
Mike just said there's 26 inches at Le Coudray.
There, see, wow. Okay. All right. Any more questions on emergency management?
Did we get a grant for, from the relief from the blizzard or whatever we had, the severe weather this year?
Yeah, well, the reimbursements, so there, I think the first thing she points out is we did have to file for an extension, which we knew that back in December, so that's been approved for the end of August.
Yeah.
Some towns have already got their work done, and then I just talked to a township yesterday.
Yeah.
Yours, they got their money already.
Yep.
They were really happy with how that all went and how helpful the state and Nicole were. Some townships are gonna get it done yet this spring, like, and including our highway department is not gonna get their work done until spring, summer. That seems to be, I've only talked to people that are happy with getting their money already, or paperwork's all taken care of.
Yeah, we ain't gonna be able to finish ours up until the spring. Our roadsides, our ditches are just plumb full of trees.
Yep. It does look like, just my time around the county, it does look like where snow is going down, the trees are. Like when you get kind of bent over and they kind of pop out, or seems like they're popping back up as the snow's letting go of them.
Yeah.
But there are still areas where there's just trees laying right up to the right of ways. That's the cleanup part.
Okay. All right, any more questions?
I do have a question here as far as this Narcan kits are replaced in EV boxes in the courthouse. That's true statement.
True statement, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna put the Narcan in the AEDs, and Mr. Premel's gonna train county employees on how to use it. That started with a request from a couple departments. If you follow that, I mean, there's, potential for Narcan or fentanyl to come in on money or documents that are being filed. There have been people that have overdoses just from that contact. So that's why we're putting Narcan in the courthouse.
Good.
Well, it happens to police officers.
Yeah.
Often, isn't it?
I've seen videos.
It's like around here, but I mean, across the state.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just, Mr. Savitsky mentioned the vending machine discussion, so we did have a meeting last week as part of the opioid planning, public health, was looking at pursuing a grant for vending machines that would have Narcan, for Narcan distribution, but I don't believe we're gonna go ahead with that after meeting with law enforcement. With LCO in the city, never on the call. Doesn't seem to be Narcan readily available in a number of different areas, so I don't think there's a need for vending machines.
I guess my only concern is say like I'm over on Second Street and I see some kid. You know, I'm sure I'm gonna call 911. But at the same time, you know,
I
I can understand it.
it was,
That all,
as I've learned more, I mean, I didn't realize that when people have even opioid legal prescription, they're prescribed Narcan at the same time.
yes, it's true. I have been prescribed it.
Yeah, John was saying that they're finding elderly that passed away, they're finding
Yep.
Narcan in their.
We find lots of Narcan after like on a corner call or whatever, and we're going through their house, we're going through their prescriptions, they're usually 3 or 4 of these in the house. So, and even, matter of fact, I've even found them on fatal car accidents, you know, just Narcan in the vehicles, so,
I have a question on that. Expiration date,
yes.
when that comes, I mean, there's no, well, we can use it beyond.
Well, the reason that, and I was gonna talk on this at on my report,
Oh,
but, so if you notice, like on the photos of on my report, it's a different than this. Well, the ones that's what the cops get. Well, these are what I carry, so when my stuff expires, I know this is expiring. So I can just walk over and replace them with new ones. So I want, that way I can make sure that we'll never have anything expired. I know there are variances that will let you go beyond expiration dates. I just don't like that because I always just view down the road like somebody will find something to have a reason to stick to, so I might as well just keep them all up to date, everything, you know.
Well, I was just curious for myself, because I
Yeah.
have been
But
prescribed
there,
and, should I?
the rule of
request a
thumb
new
is
one?
2 years. 2 years is usually over the expiration date, but like I said, when it comes to county or ambulance, I like everything to
Be
be
up
well within date.
within date, yeah.
Yeah. You know, even with the shortages, I was making sure I was trying to order well ahead of time to make sure everything's in date, because there are like lists of drugs that you can use after the date, but like I said, I'd rather not. And it's just a personal preference.
Okay,
Thanks.
all right. Number 12. Child support. Ms. Okamoto sent us a report. Any questions with it? Not? None? Okay. All right, number B, child support MOU. Discussion and possible open item. Where are we at with that, Andy?
Still don't have it finalized, and as far as I know, there's just a couple small details they're trying to work out. And I talked to our attorney who's been handling that, and it's just between their attorney and our attorney having the same schedule to get together and finalize it.
All right,
They just haven't done it.
okay. Well, we'll put it on next month's again. All right, number 13. Emergency Services Ambulance Report.
So, as you can see, we've been trying to do some recruitments. We've actually we're as far as EMTs go, we've hired I believe 4 EMTs, 2 are full-time now. We're getting those guys trained in, still having a hard time getting paramedics, but I'm hoping with a lot of the stuff now that I have all my licenses to train and get people going, that I can get some of my own staff to upgrade to paramedic and help them along. The emergency service conference was a pretty good success. A lot of people stopped by. I had a Sawyer County, move to Sawyer County video going on in the background while we were, talking to potential, employees. We've been, as far as on the CPR for the community that we've been pushing, I mean, we probably got over 600 people that we've taught for CPR, not to get their CPR cards, but just with churches and and going out to the community and doing those things. Jim in May has like 6 days straight of just teaching bystander CPR. And anytime anybody calls us, if they want a class or put something together, wherever it is, I've been trying to make that happen for them. I have like 5 CPR instructors doing it. I'm also reaching out because I'm an ACLS and H and a PALS instructor now. So we can actually work with the hospital and stuff and getting their nurses and stuff certified too, and kind of build a bridge with them and making just everybody a better community. We got a brand new trucking service. We just got that with the new Striker lift system, which is awesome. So our EMTs, it's gonna help out on, not hurting the EMTs back, lifting people in the back of the truck. That is working right now. This is a licensure level year, so everybody's renewing their license, and then I'm also working on our services license agreement with the state, so, and that's almost completed too, so. Medical examiner, I got 3 more people coming on that we're gonna be working with. I'm not gonna get them officially trained until they pass their class that I have them doing. And once they pass their class, then they do a ride along and they do we'll do some mock investigations to make sure that, we're sending them out with the best intentions and we're not gonna miss anything. And then obviously, these were the runs according to Field Bridge. We had so far this year 462, and then we've had 135 in the March alone, up until when I printed this report off. We've got quite a few since then.
All right,
So,
okay, any questions from?
No.
All right. Number B, Town of Edgewater request, discussion and possible action. Andy?
So yeah, this is what we started discussing a month or 2 ago. The town of Edgewater initially requested that we not include them in the county ambulance service or in the levy for it. It's just not possible for us to not levy on one specific township for a countywide service. So, they then proposed that we take the money that we essentially levy to the township, which for the ambulance service for 22, we have a number of 89,807 is what that township through the county, through the levy, essentially their portion of the ambulance service. Their request is that we take that and pay their costs to the Birchwood Ambulance Service. So the town of Edgewater chooses to have an agreement with the Birchwood Ambulance to cover their township, and that's what they want their calls directed to. I believe their costs to them is $50,000. So their request is that we pay that cost. And so we've been looking into the legalities of doing that, and I don't have anything in writing yet, but the short story appears if we wanted to do that, there is a way to do that we could do that. Now, the question after that is, would we want to do that? Like I mentioned last month, it opens the door to other townships or municipalities requesting us to allocate services they don't use at the county and forward that money to other purposes. We would be, right now, we run a paramedic level service. Birchwood, I believe, is an advanced. It's not something that says that we can't do it. That's just something to consider. And just from a timing standpoint, I would highly recommend we not do it now. If you want to consider it in next year's budget process, because we take $50,000 now and pay that service. It doesn't lower the cost of our ambulance service by $50,000. So we'd be shorting our budget for this year by doing that.
Yeah, it's too late for this year, I believe. I have a question. Do we service over there at all?
yeah, there was a little bit of a confusion from like back when we were all volunteers. When there was a call down there, they would just dispatch Birchwood, right? Well, we finally got that taken care of and we've been getting paged down there. I've also talked to the Birchwood, the chief, Vince Fairchild. And we've talked about more of them waiting, like, cause what they do is they'll grab a patient and then they'll run to Rice Lake and intercept with Lakeview.
Well, we can intercept them way quicker especially if we're paged. And the other thing is that when you intersect with another service from another county, that's charged at a out of service area bill, where ours would still be an in-service bill because they're from our county, even if we go to Rice Lake. So I've been talking with them about just waiting for us to get there, treating them, getting on, and either waiting if we're only 3 or 4 minutes away from them, or us intercepting them en route to Rice Lake, which is what we do with like Barnes or even North Memorial, because Spooner only has an advanced service too. And when they come to Hayward, we intercept with them a lot. So it's basically the same thing we do up here, just down there. And-
But I know, well, excuse me, but I know Edgewater is in Sawyer County.
Yep, yeah, it is.
I know, so,
That's why we weren't, because of the way when we were all volunteers.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be really hard to get a crew down there. And so they would just start paying, Birchwood first. Because it was the same thing, a volunteer service, Birchwood is kind of right there, so.
yeah,
But now that we're full-time, and if there's people in station, whether it's north or south, depending on where they are in Edgewater, we can still intercept with them quicker than them intercepting with Rice Lake, because Rice Lake only comes to McConna. So they'll wait in McConna for Birchwood ambulance, where we can hit them where C and 48 is, or even where F is.
well, that seemed like a lot of rigmarole around if somebody's having a serious heart attack or something.
Well, it's the same thing. Like they're doing the same thing right now. They're literally going to McConna to intercept with Lakeview, which they can do the same thing with us, but quicker.
Well, I think
And
concerned.
we're the same level service, so.
If we are servicing down
Yeah.
there,
Well, just
that'd
to clarify, at their request.
Yeah.
When the call comes in from the town of Edgewater, Birchwood ambulance, there's a call comes in to
To Washburn.
Washburn
Washburn was paging Birchwood first, and then calling Sawyer County. And then Sawyer County wasn't paging us because Birchwood was paging.
okay, I'm
We
hearing a
got
lot of
that, yeah.
was and wasn't.
Yeah,
What's currently going on?
right now, when there's a 911 call, we're paged first. And then they page Birchwood, so we're both going at the same time. And that way, if Birchwood, who's a volunteer ambulance, doesn't get a crew, we're still en route.
Yeah.
Right?
and if Birchwood arrives on scene first.
And if they
he
get
called
up,
off.
yep, they can. My discussion with Vince is if you're going to call Rice Lake, right, for an intercept, don't call us off, intercept with us. Right?
Oh,
And the reason that is because then we are getting that call. We're still taking care of our own citizens. On top of that, and like if they get there, it's the same way that if I go, a first responder shows up. And they're like, hey, we don't need you, it's just a lift assist, then they call us off. Right, because they're actually a BLS level service, they're only EMT basics. So
To me, this seems like it needs some more work.
oh, I was just gonna say,
It
definitely
needs more
need to
work.
do some work here, because there just seems like a lot of services that are just going.
Well, it's because of the way it was the older way,
Right.
it's actually not that hard. We are called to Edgewater. Right, now the way it is, we're called Ed. Right, and that's just the way it is, we go just like any other call. The only difference is that we're still, because they have a contract with Birchwood. Birchwood still has to get paid, because they have a contract that they pay for.
And they're
But they
current,
still pay for us too,
right,
so,
The township has a contract with the Birchwood ambulance to serve their township.
and they're have, in a sense, a contract with Sawyer County. If not really a contract, but with taxes or whatever. how's that work?
We run a county ambulance service, so we're responsible for,
Right,
yes.
so if we're servicing there, then I don't think we should give them back any money. That's my thought, but.
And we are covering them now that we're getting paid. My
that
ambulance
needs
is
a lot of work,
beating,
though.
yeah, our ambulance is beating Birchwood to a lot of the calls that, that both of us have been paged to.
And I want to hear more of what we're doing now, not what we used
Yeah.
to do.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
like-
and that's what we're doing now. is
Okay.
We're paged to all calls in Sawyer County first.
I think they're pretty fortunate having two services servicing that area, and I think it'd be setting a bad precedence if we drop them. I think it's not in our best interest to,
Oh, no,
at
not.
all. I don't know why it's gonna be brought to the table, honestly,
I
because,
agreed. I don't,
if they don't want sheriff's office, if they don't want highway department, or what, where does it end?
yeah,
So
and
how can you even consider this?
And that's why, like, when it was brought to me, it was like, it was really confusing, because like, it's like, well, why is all this stuff getting paid? Like, we need to be paid, period, because it's Sawyer County, I'm not Hayward ambulance, we're not Round Lake.
Yeah,
ambulance,
right,
we're
Sawyer County.
ambulance.
That's what I'm getting at. I
know a
know,
lot
to
of
me, it's
people
still like
have
it
that.
needs some work, but
No, I think just listening to the conversation, now that we have more information, what we can't do. I know John's talked to Vince, who leads up the ambulance. I had talked to Pete Baraboo, the town chairman, months ago. Probably need to get Vince and Pete and John and I to sit down. And
Agreed. Yeah,
Right.
definitely get this more a cohesive situation here. It just sounds like it's so convoluted. and-
Feel pretty good though if you're having a heart attack and two ambulances. show up.
Well, true. Is, but is the one
Great.
certified enough to take care of it?
Yeah.
They can
And
stand
that's
around.
the training, because I love, if anybody knows, I love training.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite things to do. And getting to train with these guys and seeing what their capabilities are, showing them our capabilities and getting them comfortable with us.
Now, you said advanced, they're
Then,
I thought they're advanced.
no,
He's
they're
to the basic.
the basic,
Yeah, basic.
and we're
We're
paramedic,
paramedic.
with like 2 or 3.
Two levels. above.
So-
Well, you only go 3 levels above on the transfer side. So,
we don't wanna make a on this yet until you guys
Right.
need, we can bring it back next month.
Yeah, you can keep bringing it.
Yeah,
back.
like I said, if you wanted to take this up, I would not do it until we could make it part of the budget.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know if I mentioned it here or at the finance meeting, but kind of, we are watching a little bit. Bayfield County has had the same struggles with ambulance services up there, like they lost contracts with, some of the towns lost contracts with Great Divide. So they've been trying to figure out how to staff up their county. And so they are going with a model, it looks like, of having the county's gonna establish a countywide ambulance service or a countywide ambulance levy. And their plan is to not staff up people, ambulances, they're gonna levy it. And then they're gonna hand it out to their various like fire departments and ambulance services around the county to help them sustain their services. So that's kind of a new model, and that's why the reason we think if we wanted to do something with Birchwood, there's an avenue to do that, similar to what they're doing.
But I agree, you guys need to get together.
Yep.
Yep. And then come see us again.
Yeah, yeah, let us know what's going on with that whole deal, please.
will do.
Okay. No more questions on this? We'll go to number C, ambulance billing analysis. Mr. Fremmel.
All right, well, so I've been getting with Mark because, so we can have the same data.
Yeah.
And this is the data from the finance report. I was going over it with him, that way we're at the same, because we were pulling from different times, the numbers were looking different. And so this is, if you can see that our monthly. Oh, where are we at there? Ambulance billing report, how we've been doing from 2022 to 2023. We've actually still been doing pretty good as far as our things, our collections have been going. We still got about $1 million in from the old billing company. I didn't get that because my billing clerk was on vacation in Thailand, so she didn't give me that numbers until yesterday, so, but she's been in talking with Mark about it.
Mike
Um,
or Mark?
Mike Martin, Mike about it. But we're pretty much, the same as we were last year on par as far as collections going. I have a meeting scheduled next month with LifeQuest. Just to make sure that like all the numbers, like everything that's coming in and getting billed and how our collection is going. I do believe, we've started using the state again for our collections. For overdue accounts. And obviously, I'm not the biggest of the billing guys, I'm just reading through the billing reports and what we get. But, we're still at the 40 to 50%, range right now as far as collection go, as what we got billed out.
Okay.
To what we got in. Medicare, Medicare should be coming in again this year. We get a correction like twice a year for their payments. But yeah, that's as much as I got right now on those. Like I said, I just started talking with Margaret about them to see how the, our billing versus last year and the year before are going. And, I'm gonna try to schedule a couple more meetings with him, get on that kind of page.
Hey, I got a question for you, Mr.
Okay.
Looking at this 2022 ambulance service net income. I'm looking down at supplies and expense totals. 196,000 was amount budgeted. Where do we get them supplies from?
We buy our supplies from like Boundtree, which is a medical service. And another group called Savic. And that's a conglomerate of, basically a bunch of things through our I call it, I know it is Savic, but it's a big group of EMS services that buy through it. And so we get big discounts through. That's where we get almost all our stuff.
So, like any, I want to say medications or narcotics.
Medications come through Boundary or
And
EMP, which is emergency medical products.
so is there any medications that you can mix that cost cheaper than if you buy them already mixed?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
We already do that. That's like our D10 dextrose is comes in an IV bag. If we buy it in the syringe, it's almost twice as much. So we buy it through the IV bag and we can actually give D10, which is basically sugar and water, IV, and it's half the cost of just buying the big syringes. We also, instead of using the nitro comes in bottles like this, but since we buy it, we actually buy it in the actual little stuff, and we mix it with our D10, and then that is cheaper too. So
Okay,
if
All right.
it's cheaper, that we do buy it cheaper.
See, that's what I was getting at. I want to make sure that's what was
No, but
happening.
there are certain medications that, and especially like right now, Narcan is just really expensive. Some of our heart medications that we give, like epinephrine stuff, is really expensive. And we go through a lot of that. Some of our transfer drugs, like metoprolol and Levophed, those are the things that'll up your blood pressure or slow your heart rate down. Yeah, I mean, just a vial of that is almost $400, so.
Okay.
I thought maybe you were asking a different question too, but I think noteworthy is that they have a vending system.
Yeah, we have a vending system that shows us what drugs we use a lot of and what drugs we don't use a lot. So now, and this is thanks to Nate. So Nate actually, he started it, and then what we're doing is we're looking at what do I need to order now? Like, what am I gonna run out of, or what the expiration date, how much are we doing? So our drugs actually, the stuff we're spending is actually going down.
They stock an actual vending machine.
Yep.
So they can track it going out, like who's
Oh,
taking it.
and Ojibwa has one and Hayward has one, so when we need to restock, And then we also know who's drawing it out, you know,
Oh, okay.
and, you know, obviously, our narcotics are really expensive, but, you know. We also have some non-narcotic pain medication that we can use that we've actually been working really good with some of the stuff to do. Obviously, if somebody's got a severely broken arm or leg, we're not gonna not give them pain drugs. We're
Right,
gonna do
sure.
what we can.
Okay.
So,
All right. Any questions for him? All right, number D, medical examiner's report.
I kind of already.
You kind of already did that, didn't you, John?
Yeah, because I think I fall under emergency services for both, so.
Okay.
And then, yeah, the only other thing is that I have for that is that, as we're retiring some of these ambulances. We're getting rid of a couple of the older ones that have been causing us a lot of issues. And we have a new one, I think, coming in November. And as we get rid of those, I'm gonna be stocking one of our older ones. I'm gonna move from the ambulance department to the medical examiner department.
Oh.
And being able to stock that, and I'm gonna try to save money that way, because now I don't have to. If I have one vehicle that everybody can use, then I don't have to stock a million bags full of equipment. And that's kind of the plan,
Yeah, we've talked about that in part two because trade-in value on ambulances is almost nothing,
yeah.
a few $1,000s.
And I mean, if I get an ambulance, I can do my own body, like autopsies, send them to autopsy. I mean, right now I spend about $1,000 to send them, have a private company, send them to autopsy. If I can do it, you know, that's be a lot cheaper. And
Save money.
and it's secure because I can go right from scene to the place, to
Yeah.
the Ramsey, so that's what I like about it.
Yeah. Okay.
The funeral homes might not like it, because they'll be out a little bit of money.
No. All right. Any more questions for Mr. Bremmel? If not, number 14, Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. Andy?
Not the ton to talk about, actually, the judge mentioned part of it. The drug court or treatment court is getting up and running. It's been a slow process in part because of the judge's capacity to be involved. But now that we have a second judge coming on board, he'll be able to spend more of his time working on that. But that's well along and getting formed. Diversion program through Justice Point is fully. They have people on waiting lists because all their case managers are full of cases right now. And then you saw or heard a little bit from Julia last month regarding the opioid planning. And the anticipation is to bring that back with a budget for board approval this month.
Okay. Anything else? Number 15, future agenda items. Then we just want to put them two back on there, the child support MOU and the town of Edgewater. Sure. Okay. Correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. None. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, just wanted to let you know that next month I'll probably have some.